The war had left Earth weak and scared. For years, humanity fought the Cryotech swarm, a giant insect-like alien race that attacked cities, destroyed ships, and took millions of lives. Even with their best weapons, Earth's armies could not stop the endless waves of the swarm. It seemed hopeless. Then, one day, everything changed. A message came from deep space. It was unlike any message humans had ever received. Instead of threats or demands, the message was simple and strange. If you want peace, you must marry me. The message was signed by Queen Xelthera, the ruler of the Zerai Dominion. The Zerai were a mysterious and powerful alien empire nobody had heard of before. Their ships were huge, glowing with strange lights. Their technology was far beyond anything humans had seen. At first, the leaders on Earth thought it was a joke. Who could want to marry a queen from another world? And why? Could it be a trick? A trap? But the message was real. And the queen sent more. Images of her world, her people, and her vast armada. She said that her people had been watching Earth. They saw the war with the Cryotech and wanted to help. Queen Xelthera's words shocked everyone. Our laws say that to form a true alliance, we must join as one, through marriage. Only then can peace and protection be promised. The leaders on Earth were divided. Many thought the idea was crazy. Others saw a chance to save humanity from destruction. Could one person really marry an alien queen? Would that be enough to end the war? The news spread quickly. People everywhere talked about the alien queen's wild proposal. Some laughed. Some were angry. Some were afraid. In the Earth Council meeting room, the brightest minds and strongest leaders argued fiercely. Should they accept? Should they refuse? Should they send a diplomat or a soldier? Meanwhile, ordinary people watched the stars nervously. Some hoped for peace. Others feared it was the start of something worse. Captain Elias Grant sat quietly in his small room on the space station. He was a hero of many battles. Brave, smart, and stubborn. When the council asked for a candidate to meet the queen, his name was the first to rise. He did not want to marry an alien queen, but he did want the war to end. He knew this proposal was strange, maybe even dangerous, but if it could stop the swarm, he was willing to try. On Earth, people waited and wondered, was this the moment when humans would join hands with the unknown, or lose themselves forever in the stars? As the space station prepared for the arrival of Queen Xelthera, the world held its breath. Peace had never felt so uncertain. The space station floated quietly above Earth, a shining silver star against the dark sky. Inside, the leaders of Earth waited nervously. The Queen of the Zerai was coming. No one knew what to expect. When the huge ship appeared through the station's windows, the room fell silent. It was unlike any spaceship humans had ever seen. Smooth, glowing with blue and green lights, and moving like it was alive. Then, the doors opened. Queen Xelthera stepped inside. She was tall, taller than any human, with skin that shimmered like metal under soft light. Her eyes glowed a bright violet, and her voice was calm but strong. She wore a crown made of crystal and armor that looked both beautiful and deadly. The Earth leaders stood and bowed, unsure what to do. The queen smiled a little, but there was power in her gaze. "Welcome, humans," she said. "I am Xelthera, Queen of the Zerai Dominion." She spoke in perfect English, but her accent was strange, smooth and sharp, like the sound of wind over glass. The queen explained why she had come. "The Cryotech are a threat to both our peoples. They destroy everything in their path, without mercy. My people and your people share a common enemy. But to fight together, to be truly allies, we must be bound by more than words. We must join in blood and union. Marriage." The room gasped. "Marriage?" One leader asked. "You want to marry a human?" Xelthera nodded. "Yes, our ancient laws require it. The bond will create a link between our worlds, an unbreakable alliance." But this was not a marriage like humans knew. It was a sacred ritual that combined political power, family ties, and even spiritual connection. It meant that the human chosen would become part of her people, and she part of his. Many leaders found this hard to believe. Could one marriage stop a war that had lasted years? Could a human live with the Jirai? Could the queen truly trust them? Queen Selthera looked around the room. I know this is sudden. I know this is strange. But the choice is simple. Accept, and we fight side by side. Refuse, and your people face destruction alone. She showed images of the Cryotech swarm's latest attacks. Burning cities, fallen soldiers, desperate people. Then she showed her fleet, strong and ready. The message was clear. The time to decide was now. The leaders whispered among themselves. Some saw hope. Some saw danger. In the corner, Captain Elias Grant watched quietly. He was thinking of the soldiers lost, the families broken, the endless fighting. Could this wild proposal be humanity's only chance? The Queen's eyes met his. There was no fear, only a challenge. Who will marry me? She asked. Silence filled the room. Then Elias stood. I will. Captain Elias Grant stood tall in the crowded council chamber. All eyes were on him. The room was filled with tension, hope, and fear. The leaders of Earth had chosen him to meet Queen Selthera, to marry her and form the alliance that could save humanity. Elias was no stranger to pressure. He had fought many battles in space, seen friends die, and led soldiers through impossible missions. But this was different. This was not just a fight with guns and ships. This was a fight for the future of the human race, and it started with a marriage proposal from an alien queen. Many people had mixed feelings about Elias's choice. Some thought he was brave and strong. Others thought he was reckless and stubborn. Some believed he could handle the queen's challenge. Others feared he might fail and drag humanity into a worse fate. Elias did not care about the rumors. He cared about the war. Every day, the Cryotech swarm grew stronger. Earth's cities were still in ruins, and the soldiers were tired. If marrying the queen could bring peace, Elias was ready to try. The council warned him, this marriage is not a game. The Jirai have ancient laws. This union must be real. If you fail, humanity will lose more than a war. We will lose hope. Elias nodded. He understood the risks. I'm not a diplomat, he said, but I will not let Earth fall. The news spread quickly. Headlines shouted, Captain Elias Grant, humanity's wild card. People debated on the streets, in homes, and on every screen. Some cheered for Elias, calling him a hero. Others protested, saying no human should marry an alien queen. Elias prepared for his journey. He said goodbye to his family and friends, though he knew many might never see him again. He packed only what he needed, a few personal items, his uniform, and a small photo of Earth's blue skies, a reminder of what he was fighting for. When Elias boarded the ship to Jirai Prime, the reality of his mission hit him. He was going to an alien world, to meet a queen who expected a real marriage. There was no turning back. The trip through space was long and quiet. Elias thought about the stories he had heard about the Jirai, their beauty, their power, and their strange customs. He wondered what the queen was really like. Was she kind? Was she dangerous? Could he trust her? At the same time, he knew he had a job to do. This was bigger than him. It was about saving Earth. As the ship neared Jirai Prime, Elias looked out the window. The alien world was breathtaking. Glowing forests, shining cities, and skies filled with strange stars. He took a deep breath. Here goes everything, he whispered. The ship landed gently. The doors opened, and Elias stepped into a new world, one full of mystery, danger, and hope. Captain Elias Grant stood on the grand steps of the palace in Jirai Prime, feeling like an outsider in a strange world. The palace was huge, made of shining crystals and glowing light that shifted colors like a living thing. Strange alien plants swayed gently around him, and the air smelled sweet but unfamiliar. Queen Selthera waited for him at the top of the stairs. She was more impressive up close. Tall, strong, with eyes that seemed to see everything. Her voice was calm, but when she spoke, it held power that made Elias straighten his back. "Welcome, Captain," she said. "You have come far." Elias nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I'm ready to learn." The Queen smiled a little. "Good. This will not be easy. Our worlds are different, and so are our laws and traditions. But if we are to be joined, we must understand each other." In the days that followed, Elias was introduced to the ways of the Jirai. He learned their language, their history, and the meaning of their rituals. The Queen showed him the sacred halls where the union would be celebrated, a ceremony unlike anything he had seen. But it was not just lessons and ceremonies. Elias and Selthera talked late into the night. They shared stories about their worlds. Elias told of Earth's struggles, the wars, and the hope for peace. The Queen spoke of her people's long history, their honor, and their fears. At first, their talks were polite and careful. But soon, something deeper began to grow. Elias saw the Queen was not just a ruler, but a warrior who carried heavy burdens. Selthera saw in Elias a human spirit, fierce, unyielding, and honest. Still, there was tension. Elias could feel the eyes of the Zirai nobles watching him. Many did not trust him. Some whispered that a human could never truly join their ranks. The Queen warned him to be careful. "You must prove yourself," she said, "not just to me, but to my people." One evening, as they walked through the palace gardens under strange glowing flowers, Elias asked the Queen, "Do you really believe this marriage will bring peace?" Selthera looked up at the stars. "It must. For our people to survive, we need each other. The Cryotech will not stop until all are destroyed. But this union is more than politics. It is a chance for something new." Elias thought about Earth, broken and tired. He thought about the soldiers still fighting, and the families waiting for peace. "I will do whatever it takes," he said quietly. "For Earth, and for you." The Queen's eyes softened for a moment, but her voice remained steady. "Then prepare yourself, Captain. The road ahead is dangerous, but if we succeed, we will change the galaxy." As Elias looked around the glowing gardens, he realized this was more than a mission. It was the beginning of something neither of them fully understood, a bond between two very different worlds, held together by hope, courage, and maybe something more. The palace buzzed with excitement. Preparations for the marriage ceremony were in full swing, and the halls were filled with the sounds of celebration and anxious whispers. But not everyone welcomed the union between a human and the Zirai Queen. Deep in the shadows, a group of Zirai nobles gathered. They were angry, seeing Elias as a threat to their power and traditions. To them, a human could never truly belong to the Zirai. Their hatred burned bright, and they planned to end the union by killing Elias. One evening, as Elias walked alone through the palace corridors, he felt a strange chill. The halls were quiet, too quiet. Suddenly, from the darkness, figures appeared, cloaked and armed. Elias reacted fast. Years of battle had trained his body and mind. He dodged a blade, grabbed a nearby metal rod, and fought back with everything he had. The attackers were skilled, but Elias's determination was stronger. Just when he was about to be overwhelmed, a powerful light filled the hallway. Queen Selthera appeared, her eyes glowing with fierce energy. She moved like a warrior born to command, striking down the attackers with swift, precise force. The nobles fled, their plan ruined. Elias stared at the Queen, surprised. "You saved me." She nodded, her voice steady but fierce. "I will protect what is mine. The union must live." That night, in the Queen's private chamber, they spoke quietly. "Why did they want to kill me?" Elias asked. "Because many in my court see this marriage as a betrayal," she said. "They fear change, and they fear you." Elias looked down. "I didn't come here to cause trouble. I came to help." Zelthera reached out, her hand warm on his arm. "And you have. But this is only the beginning. If we survive the court, we must survive the war." For the first time, Elias felt a real connection to the queen. She was not just a ruler or a stranger. She was an ally, and maybe something more. The next day, the palace guards were doubled. Elias was given a new honor guard, Jirai warriors loyal only to the queen. But the attack was a warning. The path ahead was dangerous. In the days that followed, Elias trained with the Jirai soldiers, learning their fighting style and weapons. He wanted to prove he was worthy, not just to the queen, but to her people. At night, he and Zelthera continued their talks about peace, war, and the future. The queen shared stories of her ancestors, of battles fought and alliances forged. Elias told her about Earth's struggles and dreams. Despite the dangers, a fragile trust was growing between them. The wild proposal that shocked humanity was becoming something real. But Elias knew the greatest challenges were still to come. The day of the wedding arrived like a storm. Across galaxies, the news spread like wildfire. Earth's captain was to marry Queen Zelthera, the mighty ruler of the Jirai. Some cheered, others protested, but none could ignore the event that promised to change everything. The ceremony took place on a giant space station, orbiting between Earth and Jirai Prime. It was a place neutral enough for both humans and Jirai to gather. The station was decorated with glowing banners, alien flowers, and symbols of both worlds. Elias stood at the altar, dressed in a mix of human uniform and Jirai armor. His heart beat fast, but his face was steady. Around him, thousands watched through live feeds, soldiers, leaders, and ordinary people from many planets. Queen Zelthera entered with grace and power. Her presence was like a shining light, commanding respect and awe. The two locked eyes, a silent promise passing between them. The ritual was unlike anything Elias had seen. It was a mix of ancient customs and fierce tests. The first part was a simple vow, words spoken in both Jirai and human languages, binding their fates together. But the real trial came next. Elias was led to a chamber filled with glowing fire and swirling winds, a test of strength, courage, and will. The flames danced around him, but he did not flinch. His training, his battles, and his desire to save Earth gave him strength. He reached out and touched the heart of the fire. Pain shot through his body, but he held on. The flames calmed, recognizing his spirit. The chamber doors opened. The queen awaited him, her eyes bright with pride. "You have proven yourself worthy," she said, "not just as a warrior, but as a partner." Elias smiled, feeling a mix of relief and joy. The crowd cheered, their voices echoing through space. But the ceremony was more than celebration. It was a declaration. Their marriage was a symbol of unity, a new hope for two very different worlds. After the ceremony, Elias and Zelthera stood together on the station's highest balcony, looking out at the stars. "Do you believe this peace will last?" Elias asked quietly. Zelthera looked at him, her gaze steady. "Peace is hard. It must be fought for every day. But with you by my side, I believe we can face anything." Elias took her hand. It was a simple touch, but it carried the weight of their promise. Below them, the crowd began to celebrate, but Elias knew the real battle was just beginning. The Cryotech swarm still threatened their worlds. But now, humanity had an ally more powerful than ever before. Together, the captain and the queen would lead the fight for peace, a fight born not from fear, but from hope, courage, and an unexpected bond. The newly formed alliance was more than just a promise. It was a force ready to fight. Captain Elias Grant and Queen Zelthera stood side by side on the command deck of the Jirai flagship, the Radiant Star. Around them, the combined fleet of humans and Jirai prepared for battle. The Cryotech swarm was advancing fast, destroying everything in its path. Earth and Jirai worlds were in danger. This was the moment Elias and Selthera had prepared for, the first test of their new alliance. Elias looked at the queen. Her eyes burned with determination, the same fire he saw in himself. They were no longer just two leaders. They were partners in war and peace. The fleet moved into position, their ships shining like stars against the blackness of space. The Cryotech swarm appeared like a dark cloud, thousands of insect-like ships ready to attack. "Hold the line," Selthera commanded. Her voice was calm, but filled with power. Elias took a deep breath and sent orders to the human squadrons. "Fly tight formations. Protect the flanks. Watch for kamikaze attacks." The battle began with a roar. Lasers, missiles, and strange alien weapons lit the dark void. Ships exploded in bursts of fire, and the Cryotech swarm pressed forward like a living tide. Elias flew his fighter with skill and courage, dodging enemy fire and striking at the swarm's weakest points. Beside him, Jirai warriors fought fiercely, their advanced weapons cutting through the enemy ships. The fight was brutal. Many lives were lost on both sides. But Elias and Selthera's leadership kept the fleet together. Their trust in each other inspired their soldiers to fight harder. During a critical moment, a large Cryotech dreadnought tried to break through the fleet's defenses. Elias saw it and acted quickly. He led a daring attack squad to take down the enemy ship. The battle was intense, but Elias and his team succeeded. The dreadnought exploded in a shower of sparks and fire, turning the tide of the fight. After hours of combat, the Cryotech swarm began to retreat. The combined fleet had won their first major victory. Back on the flagship, Elias and Selthera stood together, exhausted but victorious. Their bond had been tested in fire and had proven strong. "We did it," Elias said, a rare smile on his face. "Yes," the queen replied, "but this is only the beginning. The Cryotech will come again. We must be ready." Elias nodded. He knew she was right. The war was far from over. But now, with their two worlds united, there was hope. Together, they turned to face the stars, ready to lead their people through the dark times ahead. The victory over the Cryotech swarm brought hope to both Earth and Jirai. But the peace was fragile. Captain Elias Grant and Queen Selthera knew the true test was yet to come, not just on the battlefield, but within their alliance. Back on Jirai Prime, the Queen's court was filled with tension. Many nobles still resented Elias. They whispered behind closed doors, questioning his loyalty and his place beside the Queen. Some even suggested the marriage was a mistake, that the alliance would fall apart. Elias felt the weight of their judgment. Every step he took in the palace halls was watched. Every word he spoke was measured. He was far from home, surrounded by strangers who doubted him. One day, as he trained with the Jirai warriors, a group of nobles confronted him. Their leader, a tall Jirai named Varric, stepped forward. "You are not one of us," Varric said coldly. "You are a human, an outsider. You cannot hold the Queen's hand and lead our people." Elias met his gaze without fear. "I may be human," he said, "but I fight for peace, for your people and mine. If that makes me an outsider, then so be it." The nobles sneered and walked away, but their words stung. That night, Elias sat with Selthera in her private chambers. She could see the doubt in his eyes. "Do you regret this?" she asked softly. Elias shook his head. "No, but it's harder than I thought. Your people don't trust me." The Queen took his hand. "Trust takes time. We must show them the strength of our bond." Their eyes met, and in that moment, Elias felt a deeper connection, not just as allies, but as partners facing the future together. But trouble was not only within the palace. Reports came of the Cryotech regrouping. Their attacks became more frequent and brutal. The war was far from over. Elias and Selthera spent long hours planning defenses and training their fleets. They knew that if their people were to survive, they had to stand united, no matter the doubts or fears. One evening, as they looked out over the city lights of Jirai Prime, Elias said, "We need to be stronger than ever. For our people." Zelthera nodded. And for each other. The bond between them was tested in many ways, by enemies outside and doubts inside. But they knew their marriage was more than a ritual. It was the key to peace. Together, they prepared to face the darkness ahead, united, unbreakable.